Before its release, Human would have been seen as a disaster waiting to happen by many death metal fans. An album later viewed as iconic or even a masterpiece, the lead up to Death's 1991 offering was plagued with legislative issues, in-band fighting and negative European press. And yet, a new direction and lineup would lead Death to create one of the most acclaimed metal albums of all time. While many great metal albums were yet to be released, the music and cultural landscape was shifting significantly in 1991. Within the space of a month, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and Soundgarden would release their iconic albums Nevermind, 10, and Bad Motorfinger respectively, introducing grunge into the mainstream. This shift forced many thrash and hair metal bands to revolutionise their musical style and approach, if they wanted to last in this new cultural climate. Several big metal bands and artists went on to reinvent their style. These included the likes of Metallica, Ozzy Osbourne, and Guns N' Roses, all of which released hugely successful albums around this time. Death's next album would be Human, which sold over 600,000 copies worldwide and was ranked the 70th best album of all time in Rolling Stone's 2017 issue of the 500 Greatest Albums of All Time. Despite being a highly decorated album now, there was the possibility that the album might never have been made due to the various hardships the band was experiencing at the time. Chuck Schuldiner, the frontman of Death, was facing personal issues as a result of the band's tours. He stated in multiple interviews how certain fans were not attending shows for the music, but instead to vent their aggression through damaging their equipment and spitting at the band members.
Stage, whoever spit on my guitar can fucking rot in hell right now. Spit, come up here and spit in my fucking face. Don't be fucking sissy. The rest of you, you fucking rule. Don't take it wrong.
Death's manager, Eric Greif, remarked how Schuldiner was going through a period of fatigue through trying to keep his personal life going. This led Schuldiner to sign legislation allowing him to be excluded from future touring duties in Europe, supporting 1990s spiritual healing.
He never said anything to us about what was going on. It seemed like everything was all right, But the thing with Chuck was, if he turns his back on something, over time it will go away. A couple tours have been canceled in the past.
Over the course of the tour, bad blood developed between the absent Schuldiner and the rest of the band, including James Murphy, Bill Andrews, and Terry Butler. The two divided sides of the band shunned each other in the press, with various publications siding with one part of the band. Chuck Schuldiner struggled seeing tours through, something noticed by Rock Hard magazine in Germany, who described Schuldiner as being completely unreliable.
A lot of people are fed up with the band right now. Right in Germany, there's a lot of people pissed off, so you got to win them back somehow. Sure.
I think it comes down to the music, and the people who are disappointed, they're going to hear an album that I think might change their mind about me and the band in general. I think people should buy music, should buy records and support bands for the music.
Meanwhile, Metal Forces magazine in the UK defended him by stating that there are too many occasions when we are all guilty of failing to respect rock musicians as human beings, as people with feelings, as fragile souls whose very psyche can be crushed or permanently damaged by grotesquely unfair stories spread about their behaviour and state of mind. This feud within the band left Schuldiner as the sole remaining member of Death in the lead up to the recording of Human. He would later have to regroup to win back fans who were losing faith in the band. In the Ohio-based Metal Mania magazine, interviewer Brian Harris asked Schuldiner what he meant when he wrote, "This is more than a record to me. It's a statement. It's revenge." To which he replied, "People want to believe the worst. They don't say, I should just wait and find out myself. There were so many people before Human came out that said I was no longer in the music business, or I was going to form a glam band, or I was in a mental institution. These are all lies, vicious lies. It's scary because people believe them. So this album is a big slap in the face to all the people out there who really tried to bring me down. Support music, not rumours.
Well, over the last year, I've had some problems that I've had to overcome. I like to look at them as obstacles, and I feel it's good to learn from your mistakes, perhaps, if you want to call them that, or problems. And I think a lot of the personal emotion came into the music this time around more than ever. I felt I was going against a lot of odds due to the fact that there was very negative press and a lot of people literally trying to drag my name as a person and as a band through the mud.
Shoelander was now armed with a new label and lineup comprised of Cynic members Sean Reinhardt and Paul Masvidal, playing on drums and guitar respectively, as well as Sadist bassist Steve DiGiorgio. Shoelander always stuck by the principle that Def's sound would evolve over the course of different albums.
I want to just keep moving forward and have a record each time around where people can say, wow, you know, that's a lot different in a way from their last album, but still be the same. You know what I mean? Yeah. Have a fresh approach, but at the same time have it where someone can put it on and they can say, that's Def, except a lot better.
He stated in multiple interviews how he disliked death metal bands which limited themselves musically. The mission statement with his new lineup would be to introduce a new level of musicality not yet witnessed in the band, and death metal more generally.
Death will always remain a growing band, because I think there's definitely too much of a limit being put on death metal right now, with this big rise in satanic stuff and just brutal lyrics for the sake of being brutal, rather than putting some thought into and trying to conquer what people already think of heavy metal and death metal or hard rock in general.
Each member possessed their own unique inspirations and were able to cohesively combine their individual styles together. Paul Masvidal recalled how he and Sean Reinhardt were listening to various artists at the time, including Coltrane, Miles Davis, the Mystery de Voix Bulgaire, the Pixies, and the Mahavishnu Orchestra. Each member was very proficient on their instrument, dedicating the time to practice and hone their craft. This led to the band developing a more nuanced and deliberate sound, in which each musician was playing their own part while still sounding like a solid and cohesive collective. Steve DiGiorgio stated that each player had the freedom to explore their own nuances, so long as the overall sound of the band remained consistent, ensuring that every drum fill, every bass fill was intentional. The fact that this consistency was present throughout the record is an ode to each member's careful consideration of their own part in the music.
We had some time, we used the Cynic warehouse down in Miami to work out Chuck's ideas and even add our own ideas, so we came pretty prepared, so it was easy going.
The range of genre influences and musical elements combined together to create a new sound that was more textured than the band had achieved before. Brutality found on their former albums would be blended with a purposeful and melodic sound, enhancing the band's musicality. Human, in Paul Masvidal's words, was not just more technical, but more musical. Masvidal also expanded on this point by saying how Chuck was getting the best of both worlds by appealing to the classic metalhead while maintaining a speed and heaviness for the more extreme metal ear, but also speaking to the more studied listener by introducing a new degree of musicality, aggressive chops, and technical prowess.
So to give these songs to these jazzy cats from Miami was incredible, because it came together in a way that was totally fresh. I mean, look at that leap.
Alongside his growing musical maturity, Shoelander moved away from the themes of gore seen in previous releases and decided to focus instead on pursuing the real horrors of the human psyche. Themes of manipulation, environmental degradation, and narcissism are all explored on this record. More thought-provoking and three-dimensional lyrics, helped achieve ambiguity, allowing multiple interpretations of each song. This renewed maturity was achieved by a band of musicians who were pushing their technical abilities and musicality to their limits. The album's tone, already dark and introspective, was also tarnished by the scene of an accident the band came across following a rehearsal session. In Human's liner notes, Paul Masvidal stated the band came across the scene of a motorcycle accident in which 2 people lost their lives. This experience stayed with the band as they began recording in the following weeks, with Paul saying how the album seemed to develop an even more brutal urgency because of this desire for meaning, for understanding death itself. Unfortunately, the Inhuman tour proved to be ill-fated, much like previous tours. Death's manager Eric Greif said that Schulender became homesick whilst touring in Europe, resulting in the cancellation of the remaining tour dates and a lien being put on the band's gear. Members of the band were also hospitalised due to various medical issues, a situation Sean Reinhart likened to Lord of the Flies. Despite the issues of touring, Death created their first music video for the track Lack of Comprehension, directed by David Bellino, making it one of the first extreme metal videos to air on MTV, coinciding with a time when TV coverage of metal bands was increasing with the likes of Triple Fresh Threat and Headbangers Ball. Following the release of the album, a new lineup was created which appeared on the band's next record. Death's Human record marked a pivotal moment in both the band's career and metal history. The combination of a newfound focus and virtuosity led to a blend of seemingly incompatible elements which laid the groundwork for future bands to expand on even further. Perhaps the best summary of this album is made by Jeff Wagner, drawn straight from his book, Mean Deviation: 4 Decades of Progressive Heavy Metal. No band had previously balanced brutality and nuanced complexity like the next Death lineup. Sean Reinhart brought jazzy inflection to death metal's hammering double bass attack, bending Schulender's matured but still fairly straightforward riffing into complex shapes unlike anything else in the genre before that time. Paul Masvidal weaved a series of celestial leads and intricate chord voicings around Schulender's conventional scale-based leads and heavy-handed rhythm playing, each guitarist perfectly complementing each other. DiGiorgio is a master player, one of the most consistently dependable 4-stringers in metal. Producer Scott Burns capably captured both the rawness and the finer nuances of Human. He helped focus the album, deftly balancing its overwhelming aggressive drive with the sleek, subtle elements put into play by Schulender, Reinhardt, Masvidal and DiGiorgio.